Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 17th of April, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the dollar sinking lower still this morning. So that bearishness in the dollar just showing up all the time there, and we're seeing that now, that 89 area on the dollar index. Downside target on the long-term chart activated, and we've now got two short-term downside targets, both activated at about 2% lower. So the dollar still sinking lower against the euro. We're seeing the euro stronger on that dollar weakness. Medium term, not really so much. It's been stuck in this range, this sort of 122, 124 range for some months now, but we are now just starting to nudge the top of that range. Looking at against the yen, you see the dollar weakness showing up here. We're now bearish on the short-term chart, so it's clearly bearish there. The big news, of course, is sterling making the highest level since the Brexit vote. And we're seeing here we really have gained back much of the lost ground, nearly all of the lost ground, since just before Brexit. So we're sitting at that 140 level, 144, 145, and breaking to new highs, breaking that January high. So sterling looking very strong. Upside targets here of 146. So that's another couple of percent upside. So looking strong, having turned the corner long term. Of course, the key thing is how does sterling look against the euro, because we know a lot of that's about dollar weakness. It's also looking strong, not breaking to levels higher than we saw a couple of days ago, but it is still looking strong on the medium term. And on the long term, we've still got some work to do, but sterling looking stronger here as well. Upside targets to around 120 potentially. Looking against the Swiss franc, we see here sterling looking strong as well, and against the Aussie dollar, also looking strong, nudging that 185 level. Bitcoin is up about 1% this morning, just holding on to its bull trend, but it has been relatively flat since that jump last week. So we've still got work to do to start really trending. So in this flat zone, making it quite difficult to trade, and short term we're bearish. Taking a look at the S&P 500 index, we see here that we also had another reasonable day yesterday, continuing that short-term recovery. It's not a sharp recovery by any stretch, but it is nonetheless still short-term bullish, and we have got some upside targets here to play for now. Interestingly, we never activated the downside targets on the S&P 500 index, but we did do that on the Nasdaq and the Dow Jones index, the shorter held indices with fewer constituents. And so the Nasdaq 100, we've got downside targets that were activated, but the recovery is continuing here as well. So we saw the Nasdaq up about 2/3% yesterday, and the Dow Jones index also looking stronger, and the Russell 2000 again also looking stronger. So that is looking good for the recovery. So US markets looking better, and the futures are up about 1/3% this morning. The S&P future and the Nasdaq E-mini both up about 1/3%, suggests that the US market will open higher as well. Japan just struggling a little bit in the short term, last 24 hours, but interestingly we are still bullish by the cloud, bearish in the medium term chart, of course. Looking at that was the FTSE. They're looking at the FTSE 250. We see much the same picture, and if we look at the German market, we see that as well. The French market looking stronger, and Japan did actually sell off about 1/3% overnight, so it's just struggling a little bit there in the short term. Hong Kong was looking better, but still looking a little bit bearish below the cloud, and the Chinese market has been the big worry, sinking to new lows here. So this is maybe the black swan that no one's seeing at the moment, is that Chinese stocks are falling quite heavily. So we are making now, hitting that last year's low, and we're not far away from that. And if we take that out, then we're looking at 2016 two-year lows. Two-year lows are bad for stocks. And looking at the Sensex continuing its run here, it was down very, very slightly, but the short-term trend is looking pretty positive. Aussie market also in a short-term uptrend. Crude oil sitting at nearly $72, just holding on to its bullish position. Texas Light, much the same situation. US nat gas has really sat around this 270 level for such a long time. A good 2 months we've just been hovering around this level. So no real signs there. Taking a look at heating oil, looks very similar to the crude oil charts. Gold was up very slightly yesterday, but we're just struggling to hold that gains. This morning we're just sitting right below the cloud on the short-term chart. So sitting at this 1345 level at the moment, and we're seeing the risk-off trades at the moment, and then also we're seeing the Japanese yen. The silver chart doing the same. Taking a look at Bitcoin, we're seeing here US Treasury yields looking stronger, 2.85%. So we are just holding on to the short-term trend there. Taking a look at the tech majors, Apple looking stronger, and Amazon also now just starting to recover through the cloud very gradually. Google has been one of the less good performers, and that has just come through the cloud as well. Facebook sitting now in the mid 160s. Remember, we were as low as 150 at one stage, so we've really recovered quite strongly there. And Microsoft was up over 1% yesterday, the one stock that's holding all three bullish trends. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.